we have on a true patriot, Mr. Dakota Meyer, who is a United States Marine sniper. He's a veteran of the war in Iraq and Afghanistan, and he was actually awarded the Medal of Honor for his actions. And in this episode, we get into his mantra, which is own the dash. The dash is that little marking in between the day you were born and the day you die, and how you can actually own it and become a better version of yourself. We're going to be diving in.
Do you want blissful balance in your personal and professional life? Great. What's up, guys? My name is Kerry Jack, and I want to help you happy hustle a life you love, one full of passion, purpose, and positive impact. I'm a lifestyle entrepreneur, a professional model/actor, a digital marketing specialist, a podcast host, author, a biohacker, an eco-warrior, a martial artist, a hippie cowboy, and a humanitarian. My goal is to educate, inspire, and entertain you to live a life of passion, purpose, and positive impact. It is time to happy hustle your dream reality.
Yee. All right, Dakota Meyer, welcome to the Happy Hustle Podcast, my brother. I am super stoked to rock the mic with you.
Thanks so much for having me.
Yeah, man, I'm stoked. I mean, you are a happy hustler, that's for damn sure. You're also a Marine, a sniper, a firefighter, a helicopter pilot, an everyday dad, as you say. And you have a lot going on. I mean, you also won the Medal of Honor and the Medal of Valor, which has anyone else done that? I don't know. I mean, it's pretty epic, man, what you've been able to accomplish. And I'm really stoked to dive into your mindset on overcoming adversity, on choosing happiness, on leadership and peopleship, and specifically on own the dash.
Yeah.
But before we get in all that good stuff, Dakota, what's something interesting about yourself that not too many people know?
Gosh.
I know,
I don't know.
curveball.
I feel like people know so much shit about me. They know everything. But
Yeah.
I don't know, man. I mean, like, I hate food, right? Like I think if there was one thing I could change in my life, it would be the lack of need to eat, because I think it's such a waste of time, and it's such an inconvenience. Like, if you want to know like what my biggest pet peeve is trying to is food.
Interesting. All right. Yeah, that is
You didn't guess that, did you?
No, I didn't, dude.
You've never had anybody say that either, have you?
No, sure haven't. I mean, what's your
Yeah, there's
favorite?
nothing in my life that, like, I don't think there's anything that's more of an inconvenience in my life than the need to eat.
I've never heard that. And
I could get so much more done if I could just find a way to where I didn't need food.
you know, you're not wrong, honestly. In terms of productivity and time efficiency, I think you're onto something. What's your favorite of the least favorite activity of eating food? If you had to pick a meal that you do enjoy.
Oh, chicken and dumplings, I think, right? Like,
Nice.
I mean, if I was going to have a meal that was cooked that I was going to eat the rest of my life, it would be chicken and dumplings. My grandmother used to make just the best chicken and dumplings ever. And, so I think it's probably a little bit of, it's a little nostalgic, right? Like,
Yeah.
that reminds me of my grandmother and my grandfather, and like, those moments we used to share around the table. But if it wasn't chicken and dumplings, it would be Snickers bars or Twizzlers.
Nice. I love it, man. I love it. Super healthy, right?
Yeah, I'm just a trash panda. You know what I mean?
A trash panda. Love it. Dude, I gotta ask, I mean, you have such an epic backstory, and we'll get into, a fair amount of it, but what kind of beer did you share with President Obama? I gotta know.
Yeah, so I mean, I didn't know this, and I don't think a lot of people know this, but I guess at that time, and I don't know if every president does this, but President Obama, they actually brewed their own beer at the White House. So they had it was called a White House Honey Ale.
Wow.
When they called me and asked me what I wanted to drink, I mean, look, I'm a classy guy, so I think I asked for PBR.
Yeah, love it.
or natural ice, one of the two. And they were like,
Nice.
no, of course not. And I was like, all right. So they said that, I got there and we had it was called a White House honey ale.
Dang, that sounds delicious. I mean, what an epic experience, splitting a brewski with old Obama. I mean, despite your political beliefs, doesn't matter. It's still what an
Yeah.
honor, right?
Yeah. I
I
mean,
mean,
look, you say what you want, right? And,
yeah,
people, you can get all emotional about it or not, but the guy was the president of the United States.
yep,
And, I don't see anybody talking shit about him not many people talking shit about him that's ever accomplished that. So, he was president of the United States. The guy was ruthless with our military, right? Like he let our military kill a lot of bad motherfuckers. And
yeah,
so, politically, argue what you want,
yeah,
but it's easy to, it's easy to sit back and take bits and pieces of information, especially as you're seeing this, how the media is, and that the truths that they're telling us aren't necessarily even close to being the truth, and even if they are the truth, they're not in context with what you know what I mean. And so,
yeah.
I just think that as emotionally charged, if we can get so emotional about another human being, it says more about ourselves than it does about that human being, for sure.
Yeah, facts, man. Well said. I mean, and for the happy hustlers who don't know your story, I mean, there's so much to unpack, and a lot of it. I know you're a pro. You have your own podcast. You've been on a ton of huge podcasts. I don't want to bore you with retelling your whole backstory, but just give the people enough context. Why were you splitting that beer with President
Yeah.
Obama?
I served in the Marine Corps from 2006 to 2010. I was a sniper out of 3rd Battalion, 3rd Marines. Had operated in Iraq, in Fallujah, in a place called Karma, in 2007, and then I went to Afghanistan in 2009, where I was deployed with an embedded training team. So basically, our job was there was 4 U.S. and 80 Afghans on a base, and our job was to go out and mentor and train the Afghan National Army with the hopes of in the future of them being able to sustain themselves, right? That's the theory behind that type of mission. And so, very crucial, critical mission. And so, very, very rewarding, very challenging. And my team, we had gone into a village. We were on a big patrol on September 8, 2009. It ended up turned into an ambush. My team was trapped inside the village. Nobody would help them, and so after denied fires and after denied help, and me and another guy ultimately made 4 or 5 trips in and was bringing people out, our Afghan counterparts, alongside of the Marines that we finally found, and my whole team had eventually been executed. They'd all been killed, and so for the actions of bringing out those people that day, I was awarded the Medal of Honor about two years later.
Wow. Yeah, I mean, truly an inspiring story. And I know you have, there's so much to unpack, but I want to get into some of your current endeavors because you're up to some really cool things. But I feel like context is necessary. You actually didn't want the Medal of Honor, right? Explain that whole situation.
Yeah, I mean, to me, it's the biggest failure. I mean, it is ultimately the biggest failure of my life. And so, having a day that you have to relive, that everybody wants to know about, having, still, I think it's 15 years later, it's still there's never a bad day has never even touched that level of a day. And so, getting that medal to me was kind of like, it was so contradicting to myself because I my goal was I set out that day to go in and get my teammates, and I didn't get my teammates out alive, and so it just never added up why I would get an award based on those actions of that day. And so but that's what happens to a lot of us, right? A lot of us get caught in this not understanding the bigger picture, right? Not understanding that fighting this not making sense in our own head, and if it doesn't make sense to us, then sometimes we have a hard time getting around it. And And so for me, I did that for a long time. I mean, I struggled with it for a long, long time. And then ultimately I looked at it and said, hey, what can I do in order to use this now to influence the world, to be able to make the world a better place, and as bad as it sucks to lose my teammates, I think about it all the time. Is I would give anything, all of us, I would die today if I knew that my name would still be carried on for the next 15 years to be able to influence and have an impact on the world like their names did, right? Like their deaths were a lot bigger than just the day that they, on that mountainside in Afghanistan. It's a lot bigger than that. It's a story that my children are going to try to live up to. It's in the history books. It's another example of people doing and fighting for what they believe in and trying to make the world a better place. And so ultimately, once you change that perspective up and you start looking at it for what it truly is, it's not just about you, it's about what this means in the impact of the world, especially in a time right now where people need so much hope. Their stories and more stories like that are so needed.
Yeah, man. Amen to that. I mean, and that's one of the reasons I really don't want to go down the rabbit hole with you, because I know it's like it was one day that ultimately you have to talk about and relive over and over and over again. But the lessons from that day are so profound. And that's really what I want to segue into, specifically Own the Dash, which is, I love the mantra. And it's really like, just thinking about it, it's heavy and it can make you just question your every action. Explain to people what Own the Dash is and the genesis behind it.
Yeah, Own the Dash. I was one day I was down. I mean, I've lost so many guys. I've lost so many guys while I was in. I've lost so many guys since we've been out, right, to suicide or to car wrecks. And I still go on. I mean, I still go on calls all the time, and people lose their lives. And so, surrounded by so many bad days, and you have to find a way to make it make sense. And Linda Ellis, one time, she wrote this poem. It's called The Dash, and she talks about how she stood at the funeral of a friend, and our last living legacy is our tombstone, and it's our last name, and it is the day we were born and the day we died, which are really the only 2 days in your life that aren't 24 hours and that you have no control of. And so, but what matters so much and what people are going to talk about when you leave and your legacy is that dash in between. And so it's about owning the dash. How many people, think about this, like they go through their entire life and they spend their days, they spend their entire life, they waste their life away by celebrating the day they were born, which is a day that honestly they shouldn't celebrate. They should celebrate their parents or their mom who did the most work that day. Really, it's the day you didn't do shit. So
True.
And then on top of it, they do that, and then they spend their whole life trying not to die. And then guess what they never do? They never live.
Yeah.
And so it's about going out and living a life to just making a difference and influencing the good that you can, right? If we all did that, the world would be a great place, right? If we all just went out and, if we were, and that's what Own the Dash is, right? It's about going out and who cares how other people pray or what they pray to or what they believe? Like, who cares? At the end of the day, like, I think people are two different types. There's only two types of people in the world. There's good and there's evil. Period. There's good and there's evil. Like, do people mess up? People mess up every day. We are all, imperfect human beings that walk this planet. Not one of us.
True.
Gets it right all the time. And honestly, there's not one of us that gets it right majority of the time, right?
True.
And so with that being said, and I know it's so crazy, but we've got to get life back to simplicity, right? If life isn't simple, then it's because somebody is trying to manipulate and they're trying to get some narrative across that convince you of something, right? It's a sales pitch on an idea that is not, it's getting you further away from reality. Life is simple. Everything adds up. Everything's black and white. And that's reality, right? And so Own the Dash is about, it's a community. It's a community of people who believe in good, who want to do the right thing, and who want to empower, who want to lift people up. It's a community of people who are for something, not against something.
Yeah, I love it, man. I mean, it's so powerful to think about that dash in between. Your whole life is marked by that dash when it comes to its culmination. It's how you lived that represents that dash. And you said something on Cam Haines' podcast that I just wanted to reference and have you unpack a little bit, because it's very much on brand with the happy hustle and what we talk about. And it is, happiness isn't handed to you. If you're looking for an easy life, you're going to be miserable. Unpack that a little bit.
I mean, look, they're like there is no, happiness is, when people look at you and they go, well, are you happy? Well, what does that mean? Right? Like most people, majority, and I thought about this on my run today. I'm actually I think I'm gonna start a podcast called Running Thoughts.
Nice.
Anyways,
I like it.
But I was running today and I was thinking about that. I was just thinking about happy, the word happy, and over, and like people always ask you, well, are you happy? Like, are you this? Are you that? And it's like, yeah, I am happy. Like, but it's not because the world is handing me this plate of happiness and everything is great. It's because I wake up and I choose to be happy. I choose happiness. I choose good. I have a good day. I have a great day every day. Why? Not because anybody does it for me. Not because I don't have to wake up and wonder if I'm going to have a great day. I wake up and I choose to have a great day from the time that I get out of bed in the mornings, right? And it's one of those deals that, if you're sitting around and the only days that are going to be great for you are the days that you're comfortable and the days that you don't have any problems, or the days that nothing goes wrong, well, you're going to have a miserable long life.
Dude. That's, sage words. And, I even heard Elon Musk talk about this recently. He's like, happiness is a choice, to your point. It's like you wake up and yes, there's circumstances. Everyone has shit in a story and drama and trauma and all the things, right?
Yeah.
But you can choose joy every day, and your perspective oftentimes dictates your reality, and if it is positive or negative. And I just feel like people, they get sucked into this vortex of the news cycle, which is, so toxic, right? For joy. When you're coming up against, even the potential for pessimism, what is that trigger in your brain? Do you have a mantra or a trigger that you use to snap out of that perspective?
Man, I don't entertain it.
Yeah.
Like I just, everything in your life is habitual. Like if you're in the habit of bitching, guess what you're going to do?
Yeah.
You're going to bitch more, right? If you're in the habit, like it's almost like, and it's contagious too, man. Like it's contagious. Like here's what I'll tell you I'll challenge you to do, right? And all these listeners to do.
Yeah.
I want you to walk into a group of people that are just talking negative about something, right? Like I always use this example. If you walk into a group of people who are like, man, can you believe how long the Chick-fil-A line is at lunch and it's not open on Sunday? Everybody in that circle, what are they going to do? Yeah, that's bullshit, right? Like, it's so long. I had to wait 5 hours, right? But if you come in and I call it, we need leaders who are willing to change the conversation shifters, right? Where people focus back on the good. But yeah, man, it is 100% worth that wait so that you get, they have the best customer service. That line moves so fast. Like how badass is that, right? So but we just need people. We need leaders out in the world that are conversation shifters. They are narrative changers, right? And so, so many people get caught in this. I call it a dopamine fix. I talk about it in my new book that's coming out, Why to What. But I talk about this dopamine fix, right? And it's where reality TVs came in. It's all these things on TikTok where, everybody's against something now, but nobody knows what the fuck they're for. right? Like if I look at you and you're like, man, that sucks. Oh, well, what would be good? What would make it good? And then, the question I always challenge people on a lot is when they start complaining about a problem, you know what I say? You know what I start anybody that starts complaining about a problem? You know what the first question I ask them is? What are you not willing to do to change this problem, to fix it?
Yeah.
And if they say nothing, well, then it can be fixed. There's not a problem that we face today that we can't overcome. There's not a problem that we face today that somebody else before us has not had to overcome, right? And so, but I talk about this. It's kind of like eating like a big donut, right? Like you eat this donut, and like you get high off the sugar, right? You're like, man, this is good, and then what happens?
Crash. Yeah.
And I would say that majority of people on Earth right now, they are, I think they're dealing from the same thing. Like you see veterans come back and they just like, they want that rush, right? Like that, they just, that fight, like we're fighting, and then you come back and you think you should still fight, and you got to figure out a way to replace that with something. And so what I think people have done is they became addicted to negativity, because think about this. Like what happens whenever you watch these negative things, these emotional things? What do? Like your heightened senses, right? You feel a certain way, right? You get real passionate, right? Your blood pressure goes up, your heart rate goes up, and guess what it's doing? It's like no different than, a drug, dropping adrenaline in you, right? It's that feeling of, this feeling is no different than the feeling that you have whether you're jumping out of an airplane or whether you're going into a gunfight. It's this adrenaline dump. And what people do is they get in this negative dopamine fix. And so that's why they're just fiending for more negativity. They just bitch more, right? And the problem is they just sit here and they bitch, and it feels good in the moment. And then they have this crash of like, they're still just bitching about the same problems. And so many people don't get to, that's why I wrote my book, Why to What, right? And so it's like, man, me and you, we could sit here and we could like there is no solution in trying to figure out why this is happening to you, why this is going on, why, so-and-so said this to you. There is absolutely zero, there's nothing you can act on.
Yeah.
It's all subjective.
True.
Right? So, why to what? It's literally the one word answer to solving every problem in your life. If you can get to what happened to me? Now, what am I going to do about it? Right? If you get in the what mindset, if you quit trying to, like, man, I spent so many years of my life trying to figure out why my teammates died, why I didn't get them out, why I didn't die, why I didn't die with them, why I wasn't there with them. Like I spent it's the only regret I have in my life are the days that I've wasted on why. And so now I just think in the what mindset. Okay, what happened? Now what am I going to do about it?
Yeah.
What about that do I care about? What does it do to affect me? Does it affect anybody around me? If it doesn't, I don't give a shit. Roll on with it, right? And like, but you know what I mean? It's like you got to switch the why to what, because why doesn't matter. Like the only why that matters is your why. Why are you doing what you do? Why are you getting up? That's the only why that ever matters, and that you'll ever know the true answer to, and that you better know the answer to.
Yeah.
But everybody else's why, like, you're never going to figure that out. It's subjective. I get in the objective mindset because I want to be able to control and be able to take on and be able to fix and to be able to, that's true empowerment. True empowerment is giving people the ability to think and do and act upon what they are presented with.
Damn, man. I mean, some powerful things to unpack. I mean, I just want to echo the point, like the why that truly matters is your why, right? Like, and I don't think enough people really know the answer to that.
Right.
They basically read their story. They don't write it. They let society just, choose for them what's important. And I'll be honest, I talk about this on the pod, but I was largely in that camp. I was chasing ego and status and success and all the things that materialistic things that society deemed was important. I was like, that was my why for the longest time. And until I achieved a lot of it, then I was like, well, this is unfulfilling. I'm unhappy. And so it set me on a new path and determined a different why. And Tony Robbins talks about the secret to living is giving, right? A why so deep that you just serve others. And I know, man, you're a selfless servant to the 10th degree. I mean, here you are, a first responder now after being, a war veteran, and you're saving lives on the daily, and you're putting yourself out there to really just be useful to society and also to serve. And the why to what concept, I'm curious if you had to kind of articulate your why, what would you say?
So what I do is like I've said this since day one when people ask me what I want to do. Like my why is to change the world. Like I'm going to change the world. And so that's my why. Period.
Yeah.
Now I believe, and so that's what gets me up every day. And I live by a simple phrase of, if you can help somebody, you must. Because not everybody can help somebody.
Yeah.
And so, we get in this, for me, I get up every day and I think it's really simple that everybody should do two things. The first thing you should do every single day is do something to make yourself better. Like do something to make yourself better, but not with the intentions. Like you have to put yourself first, but not with putting yourself first. It's you got to understand your why of putting yourself first. Let's talk about family. I get up every day and I train, I push myself hard, business, all these things. And I always put myself first. But do you want to know why I do that? I put myself first because if I'm good, my kids are good, my family's good, my businesses are good, my employees are good. If I'm not good, none of them are good. And so it's about what your intentions are with putting yourself first. If you're putting yourself first because you think you're more important than everybody, well, no deal, right? That's the wrong aspect. Or you think you're the most important or the most valuable? No, that's not it. The reason you have to put yourself first is with the intentions of being able to help more people. I train every day with the intentions of being able to provide more services to other people, to be able to help people in their situations, right? And so that's why, like, I just think this mindset, of putting everybody else first before you is a dumb. It's a guaranteed. It's a guaranteed hole that you're going to fail everybody around you if you don't start putting yourself first and holding yourself accountable and being an example of what you expect of everybody else, right? And so for me, I get on a truck to go out and serve. I think it's important. Not only is it important for, my kids to see that you never stop serving. Like you've never, one question I ask people all the time is, okay, I got a Medal of Honor in 2011, but how long can you live off of what you've done?
Yeah.
How long does that last? I believe it lasts as long as that event is. Like nobody gives a shit what your batting record is when you go up to the plate and the game's on the line.
It's true.
Nobody cares. Nobody cares that you hit a home run last time up there. Nobody gives a shit.
Yeah.
Right? And so it's like the same thing in life. Like you are only as good as your last at bat, right? And that's reality. And so for me, like I see that I have more to give. And I have to give it.
Damn, man. I mean, that is some powerful stuff. And I really like you just keep it so real. I got to commend you on just being just 100, and especially in this world full of fake gurus and, everyone gets a trophy and like this different generation of false digital identities, man. I just appreciate the rawness that you bring to life and your honest heart for service. Like it's so evident.
Whoa, whoa, whoa. Apologies for interrupting your programming. But I have to tell you, the best investment you can make in yourself is one in which helps you acquire skills. You've probably heard people talk about, oh, just invest in yourself and you'll be successful. Yes, that's true to a degree, but you have to invest in skills that will ultimately help you achieve your desired results. And I think one of the best skills one can possess, be it an entrepreneur or an aspiring entrepreneur, is the sales sword. Really knowing how to sell, utilizing pressure-free persuasion, which will make you more money and more impact. Now, if you want to know how to sell more efficiently and effectively, I just launched a sales course called The Proven Roadmap Process to Selling Millions of Dollars and helping you to increase your conversions guarantee. And you can get access to this new sales course that the Happy Hustle is launching at thehappyhustle.com/sales. And if you act fast, you'll get it at the lowest price it'll ever be available, because we are launching it and we want to gain amazing testimonials and social proof to further share this knowledge. So if you act fast, you can get it at the lowest price it'll ever be. That's at thehappyhustle.com/sales. Now let's get back to this episode.
Man, and I mean, I really think a lot of people, they live in misery oftentimes, or they're unhappy or unsatisfied. I mean, studies show 3 out of every 4 employees are disengaged and unhappy. Like we live in this soul sacrificing society right now, and people, they aren't being of service. They're not putting themselves first and taking care of self, let alone actually focused on how they can become a better version to society too, right? And serve others. Because when you get out of, like your why is so clear. I just had a little baby boy. I didn't have him, my wife did, but 4-month-old, it was my first kid. And like, dude, my whole why changed, it's crazy. And I feel more curiosity and passion to achieve because I want to be an example, right, to my boy. And it's just, I feel like that's one thing, people's version of success, they just, again, accept what others deem to be important, but you have to define what's important to you. What the heck does success, quote unquote, actually mean to you? And I'm curious, I want to ask you the question, what does it actually mean to Dakota?
I mean, success is like, I don't, so I back to what I said, right before this, I believe you're only as good as your last at bat, right?
Mm-hmm.
And so, I believe that decisions plus actions equal results. And in those results, you have what people forget is like let's talk about this. You don't, like, just because you have a child now, like, yeah, you're always going to be a dad. But you're not always going to be a good dad.
It's true.
You're not always going to be a bad dad. But every day, every moment that you have, and how you handle that and what you choose to do, it decides if you're a good dad or a bad dad. See, everybody talks about being a father. Nobody talks about, they think that, oh, well, I'm a father, but okay, well, are you a good father or are you a bad father? You know what I mean? Like, and so me, when you talk about success to me is going out and every day, waking up and pushing the limit, not putting my sword down, adding value to leaving every room better than I found it.
Yep.
Like, whether it's picking up a piece of trash, whether it's pushing up that chair, whether it's holding the door for somebody, but leaving every person that I come across. I mean, when I run the trail, I'll go down there and run 10 miles down around Ladybird Lake, right, in Austin. I don't pass one person without saying good morning. What if that's the only good thing that person got told that day?
Yeah.
So every opportunity I get to impact somebody's life and to let them know that, hey, I care, I'm going to do that. And that's what success is to me, right? To be able
Yeah.
to be an example to my kids, to impact the world in every opportunity that I have to make it better, whether it's getting on your podcast, whether it's going out here and doing a video, no matter what it is, right? Like where people get lost is when they think that their actions don't matter.
Yeah.
When they think, if anybody in this world where you get really out of whack is when you think that you ever take an action or you ever make a decision that doesn't matter. Because no matter what, there is no small decision that doesn't matter. Like they all matter. Which way you turn down this street, whether you stop and pull over and help somebody or not, all these decisions matter. What you choose to eat, who you choose to hang around, where you choose to spend your time. And like, man, when I had my kids, I've got 2 daughters.
Yep.
And like, a lot of people don't think about this, but the longest man that my daughters will ever date is me. And so if my daughters go out and they start choosing shitty guys, probably need to look in the mirror. Because guess who is going to set the bar
Yep.
for what a man is? Me. I'm going to set the bar on that, right? And so every decision that I make matters. And guess what? I'll tell you, this is not a popular thing, but I don't put my kids first. I come first. Because guess what? I've got to be good. I don't have an option to not be good anymore. You've got a son. And guess what? If your son is not a strong man and is not able to protect and provide for my girls have to do that.
Yep.
And so it's like, you better show them what it's like to do the right thing, even when it's hard. That, hey, it doesn't feel good. It's not always easy, right? Life sucks. Like it's hard. Life is fucking hard.
Yep. Amen.
But it doesn't mean that it's not good.
Yeah. Wow. Yeah, man. I mean, again, just dropping truth bombs left and right, brother. It's definitely something that I hope all the happy hustlers are really digging into and just like doing some soul searching. I feel like we've become so complacent and expect these 6-minute abs and, this dopamine dump from an IG scroll, and everything has become so easy. We live in such this like easy society. We're breeding weak ass humans, and it's ultimately going to be our demise if we don't all take accountability for our reality, our mental health, our emotional health, our physical health, and really start to, be stronger and better and take accountability for each and every decision. Like I said, like one of my non-negotiables is, okay, I got to put the grocery cart back where I found it, or like better than when I found it technically, but like hopefully it's in the place. It's like I made that conscious choice, I don't know how many 10 years ago, and it's like it's a little thing, but those little actions, like you mentioned, they matter. I pick up trash when I see it. It's little stuff. I do my best to compliment a stranger every single time I find one thing, just even if it's, their glasses. I'll be like, hey, I like your glasses. It's that little act of kindness that can make their day oftentimes, to your point.
All the time, man. And like, it might not be a set of glasses that I would wear, but like,
yeah,
I wore them, but like, hell yeah, man. Like,
yeah,
badass glasses. Like, you're rocking it. Like, way to crush it. Way to show up. Like,
yeah.
I'm here to support it. Like, I just think, like, your level of talent, I don't care. I don't care how much talent you have. I don't care how good you look, all these things. I couldn't care less. I tell you what I care about. I care about 2 things. I judge people based on 2 things. Their attitude and the effort they put into what they do. That's it. That's it, because you have 100% control of those two things. I tell my kids that all the time, right? And I send my kids to school every day. I have what I call the box method, right? And so I believe in this box. And so we all have a box. And around that box, it's 4 sides. Because most people, people are like, oh, I don't like this. I don't like this. And when you ask them what they do like, they can't tell you. They put zero thought into it. They expect everybody else to figure out what makes them happy or what they're looking for in life or define. I mean, like they put everything else, like they have gotten so lazy that they've not even figured out what that means to them. So my daughters, every day, I make them, they have their own box and we talk about it before they go to school. And this is what I expect of them, right? They are children. So I give them their box of what dad expects of them. I expect them to be an example. I expect them to be a leader. I expect them to be strong, and I expect them to be kind. And so what this gives me is, it's a tool to help them be able to act and make decisions and take actions that it has to fit in the box. So when my daughters come home, because I don't want my kids to be conditional people. This is the problem with everybody, is they became conditional to society's standards or the people that they're around, right? And oh, well, I'm not going to be kind to this person because they don't deserve it. Well, if I gave everybody around me and I treated them the way that they deserved, and I'm an asshole all the time, then what am I?
Yeah, an asshole.
I'm an asshole, right? So do I want to be an asshole? No. So I don't care how you treat me. So anyways, I tell my kids, they got to be kind, be an example, be respectful, and be a leader, right? And that is their box. And so when they come home and they're like, oh, Dad, so-and-so pushed me on the playground. And I'm like, well, what did you do bad? Well, I told them they're stupid. I'm like, okay, well, I mean, you're technically not wrong, right? But does that fit in your box? Does that fit in the Meyer box? And they're like, well, I'm like, is it kind? No. Is it respectful? No. Is it what a leader would say? No. Is it being strong? No. So I'm like, you're way off target. So what could you have said to this person in that moment to where it would fit in your box? And it gives them something, gives them a target to try to hit instead of me just sitting here and saying, oh, you missed, that was wrong, this is it, right? Like, I don't care. Does that person deserve you to punch them in the mouth? 100% they do. And honestly, you could have done that. Fine, if that's what you want to do. But let's go back to your box, right? And at the end of the day, if we all always got what we deserve, we'd all be fucked.
Yeah, so true.
Think about it.
Yeah.
If every time you text and drove, you got a speeding ticket or you wrecked. If every time you sped, you got a speeding ticket. Think about it. If every time you didn't work out, you lost the strength that you missed. Think about all these things. If every single time you didn't do what you were supposed to do, you got the results you were supposed to get.
Yeah. We would all be fucked, wouldn't we?
All of us.
Yeah, and then I think, that's where God's grace comes into play, and we have to give it as well as receive it, right? And I do think, having that box, that parameter, that target, that structure, not only for children, but for every single person out there, like you need to create your own box. And I heard one of my early mentors, I met his son, but not him. He died recently, Zig Ziglar. He talked about riding your bike on a seat of character. Your character is the seat in which you operate on, and you need to have a clear compass of what that character is comprised of. And I love the box, visual, because you could stand on that box. You can have that structure, and especially I'm gonna use that for my son. So thank you, Dakota. I appreciate that, man. That's great. That's great. And I want to respect your time, but I would feel a little bit remiss if I didn't get into some of your entrepreneurial ventures, man. You're up to some really cool things. I mean, yes, you're, an author, a speaker, you're doing an Ironman right now. You're like an athlete. You're doing some really badass shit. I'm not going to lie. But we have a lot of entrepreneurs who listen to the podcast, and a lot of aspiring entrepreneurs who want to put the happy in their hustle. They're sick of being shackled to the corporate grind. They want to have that freedom. I talk about the creative, financial, and time freedom that entrepreneurship can bring. But let's not sugarcoat it. Entrepreneurship is a beast. Like it's a burden that you have to be strong enough to carry if you're going to venture in those waters. I know, going from, combat veteran to entrepreneur is a leap, right? And I'm just curious if you could distill maybe just one real takeaway from that transition of going from combat veteran to entrepreneurship, and maybe something you wish you knew about the venture ahead that now looking back, if you had that knowledge, it would have made it easier becoming an entrepreneur. Anything come to mind?
I mean, I don't know anything. I mean, look, I would say that there's a lot of similarities of going from combat into entrepreneurship, right? And what I would say is that the unknown.
Yeah.
Like going to entrepreneurship, fighting for something and being willing to lose everything that you got for something that you can't even see yet. I mean, there's a lot of similarities to it, right? And I hear people all the time like, "Oh, I'm just going to start my own business. It'll be easier." Like, no, that's called being a consultant, right? Like that's like an employee, a consultant, an employee that works when they want, right?
Yeah.
And so, entrepreneurship, true entrepreneurship, it is probably the closest thing to raising children that you could ever come in contact with, right? Like when you first, like I relate it to a child, right? When you first bring home, as you know, this child, that child relies on you for everything.
Yeah.
Like it doesn't matter if you're tired or not. Like you've got to feed it, bathe it. I mean, everything. You don't understand it. It doesn't speak back to you. It's not clear. Like all these things. And there's a lot of guessing to it. And it is exhausting. How tiring was it bringing home a kid?
Oh, dude, I probably slept like 3 hours last night. That's why I got the sniffles. I'm over here smoked.
Yeah.
So yeah, I'm in the trenches.
And it's the same thing with entrepreneurship, right?
Yeah.
And it's like in the beginning of it, I mean, you're figuring it out. You are grinding it out. It is like a lot of lonely, hard times, right? And people swing in and they're excited about your business and they're all going to buy and they're all going to support. And then, when the kid gets here, they'll be around when the kids get 7 or 8 and they're fun, right? But right now they ain't coming in and they ain't coming and changing diapers and all this. And so it's kind of the same thing with entrepreneurship, right? Like it's like raising a child. It's like raising an infant, and you get out of it what you put into it. And it is hard. It is hard. It's dangerous. It's risky. It's not for the faint of heart. It's like it is emotional. Like it's hard, but on the backside of it, that's why I believe that look, the entrepreneurs that make it, they believe in the solution or the product that they're trying, the problem that they're trying to fix. They believe in the cause that they're trying to serve way more than the money that they're trying to make.
Gosh, ain't that the truth too? I mean, first of all, you have to understand what problem you're really solving with your business, right? And I think too many times people get into the glory of entrepreneurship. They get attracted to this opportunity, but they're not clear on what problem they solve, who they're solving it for, and then what's different about them solving it, right? What's their uniqueness in it? And I just think having that clear why, bringing it back to why to what, why are you going into this venture? And then what are you going to do differently? What are you going to do to serve your people with your product or service, right? Tying it into service, right? And I want to highlight one of your companies, which is Hydrate. I mean, it's pretty awesome. Like I was looking at some of it online. Talk to us about just, what brought you into that industry. And
I mean, so like as a firefighter, when COVID hit, I was working on an ambulance and we were transporting a ton of people and we needed, I got into IVs, right? And so I was doing an IV therapy company doing tons of IVs, did a ton of research because I wanted to help people the most I could. I mean, I was one of the IV companies that like nobody else would go to these people. And so these people would call me and I was the only one that would come give them IV fluids, right? And I would give them nutrients and vitamins. And so I was one of the only ones that if you checked COVID that I would still come, right? And so because I wanted to help people. And so I seen the benefits. I was like, holy shit, I seen the benefits of this. And so then on top of it, my whole life, whether I was in the Marine Corps or whether it's a firefighter or whether it's a dad, my kids playing sports or it didn't matter, right? But like, one thing that I always talk about, if you knew then what you know now, right? I would have focused more on hydration and understand the electrolytes and all this. We grew up on Gatorade.
Yeah.
Gatorade is like, I think it's Gatorade. Gatorade was like, I don't want to beat them down too much. They were the best in their time.
Yeah.
But they haven't evolved and they're garbage now. So
True.
like, and then I looked at all these other companies and what they're putting in their hydration piece, and I wanted to build something better. And so I wanted to build something with a purpose, not a purpose that is, that's just for athletes, but for the everyday person, because the everyday person is walking out there, dehydrated and under nutritionalized. And so if I could put this in something that tastes great and I put quality products in it. And so that's where Dash Hydrate came from. We have a daily drinker that's out right now. You can go to dashhydrate.com. We've got 3 flavors, by far the best tasting flavors on the market. And it's the most comprehensive formula that there is. And so, we're really excited about it. And it's 0 sugar. But it tastes, it's so good.
Yeah, man. That's awesome. I mean, dashhydrate.com, it is, people wake up chronically dehydrated every single day and they're not getting enough, water, first of all, and let alone electrolytes. And it affects like every function of the body. So I love that you targeted that specific problem. And I think it's a very important problem to tackle at that.
I didn't want to get into supplements, right? Like look, the one thing that, like, I don't care what supplements you take. I don't care what your diet is. Like, if you're dehydrated, it doesn't matter. The foundation, the keystone to your health is your level of hydration and your level of, that is, and your electrolytes, right? Like, if you're out sweating during the day, if you're out moving, if you're doing anything throughout the day, you're burning through electrolytes, right? And so we put your most valuable, your most crucial, critical, electrolytes in this formula, and it's for everybody.
Yeah, and it's definitely
over the age of 6 can drink it.
All right, I love it. We'll have to get some for the guys when you come out to Montana for the
Absolutely.
Montana Mastermind. We go hiking in the wilderness. That's a perfect thing to add to the water to motor up that mountain. I love it, man. Dude, this has been epic. I so appreciate you. I want to, if it's okay with you, just go a little bit over and just run through these Happy Hustle hacks and then the rapid fire round. Are you cool with that?
Let's do it.
All right. Happy Hustle hack is just a tip, a tool, a tactic, something uniquely Dakota, though. First one, we talked about health, but is there something maybe that we could deem a happy hustle hack that you do that maybe you don't talk about too much?
Yeah. So I what I would tell you is switching up a mindset, as far as most people think that their day starts when?
In the morning.
In the morning. So what I would tell you is if you want to know the trick and key to life, is your day starts when you go to bed.
Yeah.
And so having an alarm set for when you go to bed, because what is the most impactful thing on your next day?
Your bedtime?
how much rest you get, right?
Yeah.
Sleep and recovery you get is going to dictate everything for your next day, whether you're tired, all these things, right?
Yeah.
And so what I tell people all the time is like, making sure that we set a time when we're going to get up. But a lot of people go to bed when they're tired, and that's not a good sequence, right? And sleep, sleep isn't for the weak. Sleep is actually required for everybody. So what I tell people all the time is switch when you're starting your day up. Your day actually starts when you go to bed, not when you wake up.
Yeah, man. Great point there. And I hope all the happy hustlers heed that wisdom. Let's talk about money. I mean, I see it as a frequency, a tool, right? It makes you more who you are. Do you have a happy hustle hack for money? Maybe something that you do to save or invest or spend wisely that maybe you could share with the audience?
I mean, look, money comes and goes,
Yeah.
right? Like you can always make more money. It just depends on it, and I, what you have to look at is what's more valuable than money is your time,
Yeah.
right? So how you spend it, I always think about things in hours. I always think about, investing, like what am I going to do with this? But I mean, when it comes to money, like, it's always feast or famine, right? And it's just that is part of the entrepreneur life of that. But for me, what I do is I categorize money into three layers. So I've got my under a year. So these are like, whether it's consulting, like year contracts, anything under that. So make sure you fill that piece up, which is your daily stuff. And then you've got your year to 5 years is what I call it, contracts. So multi-year contracts or however you're doing it. And then you have like your what I call your what I call like your overall, basically like building up your finances for your future, right? Which is like, pieces in companies, things like that, investments over that. And so like, I look at things in three different buckets. And so I try to fill all those buckets to make sure that you're sustained out, and as far as money goes, again, it's feast or famine. There's a difference between needs and wants. And I think the one thing that everybody sees is the more money you make, the more you spend, and I think that comes down to society. I think that comes down to trying to keep up with everybody else. But that goes back to your why to what. If you don't know what your why is, you can't figure out, all these things. People who struggle with money spending are people who are instant gratification people usually, and people who aren't really anchored into why they're doing what they're doing.
Yeah, so true. And I call it the more disease. We get infected by like more money, more followers, more, clients, more love. And it's like, it's like a sickness, and you have to at least find gratitude for where you're at, measure yourself against where you started. Yes, be, diligent and wise with your finances, but realize like you ain't taking it with you. You're going to die.
Well, and like, I think one thing identifying is what are you going to do with more money?
Yeah. Yeah.
I mean, how many people go get more money and then they just spend it ignorantly?
Yeah. I would say a lot of people, yeah. I mean, wise words, don't fall victim to that consumerism, and think about, I like that filter. I put my stuff through that same filter. Is this a want or a need? So awesome, man. Let's just go one more happy hustle hack for spirituality. I mean, I know you're a man of God. I believe it's important to have a faith in a higher power. Is there a specific, happy hustle hack? Will you something uniquely, Dakota, that you do to connect to that higher power?
I mean, I just think that, like, look, I think the best self-help book that was ever written is the Bible. I mean, I think it's the best self-help book that there is. I think that God is all the good that we do, right? I don't think you have to pray to a certain God. I don't think that, who cares, right? But I'll tell you this, like, if you don't believe in something higher than you and that things can get better than what they are, then you have no reason to do better. You have no reason to push through those hard times, right? Like, God is the difference in us and everything else that walks the planet is God gave us our emotions, right? Like, that our emotions are what the biblical aspect try to help us get through and try to make sense of, right? It gives us love. It gives us the ability to do all these things, right? And so that's why we don't eat our young. That's why we don't, just kill everything that we see, right? These are things that humans were given by, God gave us over. That's everybody and everything else, creature that he created, right? So, I just think that, like, look, if you get in this mindset, and there are people out there, they're called extinctionists. Elon Musk talks about them all the time.
Yeah.
There's people out there who want to think that, the world's bad, everybody's bad, all this. There's not a problem that we as people can't fix. And the more good that we do, the more good that we can put out there, right? And so, and the better the world gets. And so we can fix all this. Everything is, in my life, everything's great, right? Like, is everything perfect? No, it's not perfect anywhere. but everything is great. Like, it's great because I say it's great, and it's great because I make it great, right? And so, that's the thing that we have to rely on.
Yeah.
And, look, I mean, being kind and believe in whatever God you want. But what I can tell you is that the higher power doesn't want people being evil. He doesn't want, or she, whatever it is, whatever you want to think, whoever knows, whatever you pray to,
Yeah.
They don't want people to be miserable. They don't want you to be miserable. They don't want you to be depressed. Like, they don't want you to be in this mental prison, right? And so, what religion and all this is just, it's emotion to believe that things can get better, and the power of believing. I'll wrap all this back up to the Medal of Honor.
Yeah.
Well, the Medal of Honor that day, the story that was told and the story that's there is not about somebody doing heroic things. It's not about heroism. It's not about tactics. It's not about any of that. It's not about being a badass. It's simply about two things. It is the epitome of what every human that's listening to this is capable of. If they believe in something bigger than them and they love people more than they love themselves, that is exactly what that day represents.
Yeah, man. Believe in something bigger than yourself and love people more than you love yourself, right? And just be of service, man. Oh, dude, so appreciate this. Real quick, the Happy Hustle rapid fire round, just to culminate and put a stamp on it. This is just random questions I ask you and you answer honestly.
Okay.
First things that come to mind. Are you ready?
Yep.
All right. Favorite movie? Go.
Step Brothers.
I love it. Favorite book? I met Will Ferrell too, dude. He's the man.
That's awesome.
Yeah. Favorite book?
Favorite book? I like Extreme Ownership.
Yeah. Yeah, I know Jocko has played a big role in your life, and yeah, he has mine just from a distance, though. He's a powerful human. Favorite workout?
Burpees.
Whoa, that's rare. You're like a great white buffalo. I don't know too many people who love burpees. Let's talk about your spirit animal. What is it?
Oh, hippo.
Yeah, I like it, dude. You and Tim Kennedy, right?
Yeah.
I like it. Let's talk about best business advice.
Just don't quit. You know what I mean? Like, you're going to fail. 100% you're going to fail. You're going to fail. And if you're not failing 9 times out of 10, you're not pushing the envelope hard enough. The stakes aren't high enough for you to ever be successful. So, you know what I mean? Like, don't quit.
Yeah. 3 things you're most grateful for.
My family, my health, and the chance to get up and have the opportunity for another day.
So well said. And if you had a billboard for the world to see with your last piece of content on there, what does that billboard read?
Just whatever you can say to people to remind them of how great they are, right? Like, that they can do it. They have the ability to do it, right? There's so much content out there of people hating each other and of people against things and of people telling them why they can't do this, or, making the threshold of being great some astronomical, unachievable thing. It's what these influencers are out there, right? You got these influencers out there who are editing their photos and providing these unrealistic, things for people to try to live up to. It's the same thing with porn. It's the same thing with all this, right? These unrealistic digital influencers that don't, that are honestly doing more harm than they are good by making unrealistic expectations of people. And so it would be something to just remind people of how great they are.
I love it, man. Crush that rapid fire round, Dakota. And brother, I just want to take a moment to acknowledge you, man, for sharing your love, your light, your wisdom, your unapologetic truths. You really are a patriot through and through, and a happy hustler at that. And I just appreciate the example that you set in the world. And I just want to say thank you, man.
Thanks, man. I appreciate it.
Yeah, this has been awesome. Go ahead and remind people the best place to follow you online, and where they can get the Hydrate, the Dash Hydrate again, and maybe even a little teaser on where they can potentially get the book.
Yeah, Dakota Meyer 0317 is my Instagram. You can go to dashhydrate.com. Get hydration. We're on Amazon as well. The book will be out in the next probably 30 to 60 days. So yeah, be looking for that. The Why to What.
Yeah, there we go. And I do end every interview with this question, and we'll link all those different URLs up in the show notes. Definitely recommend following Dakota. He's got some amazing content putting out on the regular. Now, Dakota, final question: what does happy hustling mean to you?
It's just about going out and like I said, like I've said the whole time, just impacting what you can, right? Going out and even if it sucks, like, finding the good even in the suck, right? Just, quitting, like once you make a decision, quitting is not, it shouldn't even cross, I mean, it's going to cross your mind, but it shouldn't be anything that you act upon. And it's just like in life, if you start to quit, it's going to get easier to quit going on. And if you push through those hard times, in those hard times are where the true knowledge and the true wisdom comes from. And so, looking at those hard times at that and figuring out what you're going to learn in order to make you better for when you're not in those hard times is what it's about, right? And so making sure that you're always, you choose happiness. You choose happiness just like you choose the hustle. So choose them both.
Mic drop, y'all. Dakota Meyer, thank you for watching and listening. We are out. Peace and love, everyone.